Welcome to the Learning Reinvented Podcast. I'm James Poletyllo.
And I'm Katie Godden, and this is the Learning Reinvented End of 2020 special.
And in this episode, what we're going to do is take a little bit of a look back at the year 2020 and a little bit of a look forward to 2021. So, Katie, if we look back to this time last year, so December 2019, you were off in the Caribbean, sunning yourself on a 2-week cruise, celebrating your 30th birthday. We'd set up the business not that long before. What are your hopes and aspirations for 2020 as you look forward?
I didn't have the best end to 2019, so I'd experienced domestic violence. So for me personally, that was a really difficult time. Obviously, I was enjoying the Caribbean, enjoying the sunshine, but from a business point of view, I was hoping that we'd start to work with lots of new clients. We were already working with lots of clients. We were really busy. We had lots of projects going, but really hoping for a really good first year in business, and that we could grow that business. And then for me personally, to become more confident and actually have a really great year. What about you?
Yeah, I think as we look back over 2019 for both of us, I think we'd had quite a changing year. So, you'd been through some really difficult times. We'd set up the business, which was really positive. So, I think we both were really happy about that. We were making good headway. I'd had my first baby. So, I had a small child to fit into the mix. So there was lots of change going on for both of us, some of that good, some of that obviously challenging, but it felt like a real sort of line in the sand for us both personally and as a business, that we were starting to feel like we were getting ourselves onto an even keel. The business had a firm foundation. We were working through the challenges and disruptions we'd had in 2019. So yeah, it did feel like we had a solid, firm foundation as we bounced into January 2020.
So the beginning of 2020 was really positive. We had lots of projects going on. We had prospect clients. It was beginning to look like a really good first year for us as a business. But then come February, we started to hear a lot more about COVID. And then obviously in March, we were put into lockdown. How did you find lockdown?
Lockdown was a bit surreal, to be honest. So we went from me and you having a planned meeting. So we used to get together every couple of weeks, and we had a day's meeting planned. And then, I think I was due to speak at a networking event we were both going to go to in the evening. And then suddenly the networking event was pulled because people couldn't be together. So we're like, oh, fine, we'll delay our meeting till next week. We can do a bit more prep on the work we were working towards. And then that meeting didn't actually happen until, I think, July. But it just suddenly came out of nowhere, really. So you'd seen these figures creeping up. You'd heard about stuff happening in Italy. And then all of a sudden, we couldn't do what we normally did. So to go from having the freedoms, being able to go out the house when you wanted and do things. And I live in a really busy part of London, and you'd look out the window and there was no traffic. There were no people. You go out and, people were scurrying across the street like you're walking down the road with an axe towards them. And, it just felt very strange, and a bit like being in a film set. And it felt quite surreal, quite exciting at the beginning. And then, we were tuned into the news every night trying to see what was happening. But both me and you like new and novel things and change. So I think at the beginning, it felt strange, exciting, slightly scary, full of possibilities. How were you finding that? Because you were on your own at that point.
Yeah, I think I remember when we first got told on the news that we were being put into a lockdown, I thought I could have gone one of two ways. So I could have seen it in a really negative way and not embraced it, but I chose to actually embrace the changes that were happening. So I adapted my life. So instead of going to the gym, I was doing workouts in front of the TV on YouTube. Instead of going to the pub and going out for drinks with my friends, I was then on Zoom having Friday evening drinks. So to begin with, I definitely really embraced it. I was going out for regular walks, and we had more of a structure, I think, to our lives. But then the novelty did start to wear off, I think, come June. And I was missing those things that we take for granted, like meeting up with people and being able to be a bit more social.
Yeah, I definitely felt the novelty wear off, and I think it's been so individual for everyone. You know, some people have been on furlough, some people have lost their jobs and had, you know, all sorts of different things. But for me, it was, you know, we live in London, we have no outside space. You know, my wife and son had got really into a routine of being pretty much out all day. So you know, we had a balance of working from home and going out to meetings, and suddenly I was working from home 5 days a week, plus my wife and son were in the same space 5 days a week.
So I was lucky because I've got a garden in my house, so I was able to do my exercise for 1 hour, but then still come home and have that outside space. So I was grateful for that. And I think for us personally, we're really lucky and fortunate to be able to live in the UK, have clean running water, we're able to clean our hands, etc. But obviously it's still been really sad, the number of people that have died, and it's something that I hope will go away soon.
Yeah, I think it's been such an individual year for everyone. I don't think we can understand what anyone's been through, because it's been different for every situation, your living situation, your working situation, your family and personal situation. You know, I know you touched upon earlier that you suffered from domestic violence in 2019. Now, you know, I'm personally quite glad you weren't in that situation in 2020, because that could have been a lot worse if you were locked down in that situation. So I think, you know, it's important to remember that everyone's been through slightly different nuances, both personally and, you know, one of my things I'd be thinking about is really trying to understand as things go back to normal, hopefully, or whatever normal is, that we, you know, we really start to engage with people to understand what they've been through, and don't just assume that everyone's had the same experience as us, because I know from it's been very different for different people. But I also think it's been different for business as well. So our business has obviously changed because we had less work. Lots of our clients disappeared. So how have you seen the impact, and what's it allowed us to do differently in the business?
I think we're lucky because we're such a small and agile business, so we've been able to adapt to the change a lot easier than I think some big businesses would have been able to adapt to that change. It's allowed us to focus on some bits which would have probably been nice to have before. Unfortunately, we've seen some people that we're talking to, the departments have either been furloughed or those businesses just don't exist anymore because of the impact was so severe from COVID. But then we were able to focus on creating the community. So that's an area for learning professionals to share best practice. We've launched the podcast, which is something I don't think we would have been able to do if we continued at the rate of work that we had at the beginning of the year. And we've learned new things by doing that as well. But then obviously going into 2021, I hope that changes, and I hope we do then start to pick up more business as we see different businesses change and adapt to the new way of working. And hopefully new businesses are going to come up from this as well.
Yeah, I think there's been huge impacts on businesses. So two of the industries I've recently worked in were care and hospitality, and they're almost at the two ends of the spectrum. So hospitality has been pretty severely hit because it's been locked down pretty much most of the year, with suddenly, you know, you can open for a few weeks, but the rules are constantly changing. And then in care, they've just been snowed under with changing regulations, the risk to the people they're looking after. So lots of industries have just been going through huge amounts of change, and other industries have been quieter, other industries have been busier. And I think, again, it's building in that time to reflect and look forward to 2021 as to what you can take and what you might need to leave behind. So if we do put that positive spin on, you know, as we said last year, we were looking forward to a year of positive business, and, you know, you were going to build your confidence and all sorts of things. Let's do the same exercise. Looking forward to 2021. What are your hopes and aspirations for 2021?
So I think 2020 has seen my confidence grow. I've definitely seen a change in myself from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And then going into 2021, again, it hasn't changed too much to 2019 to 2020. I definitely want to see the business grow. I want to see the things that we've changed to the community and the podcast. I want to see that grow. And have more engagement from that side of things. But then I want to work with lots of new clients. And grow the business, but obviously in a different way compared to what we were thinking last year, because there are more restrictions in place still. How do you see things?
I think I'm probably slightly less gung-ho than I was going into 2020. I think it's, you just have to reflect on, it's going to be a challenging year next year, whether that's Brexit, whether that's, that we may have a vaccine starting now, but it's going to take a while to come through. So I am, I'm normally quite a gung-ho person, but I'm probably more cautious than I was going into last year. But I am positive as well. I think, as humans, we need to make sure that we grow and learn, evolve and get better. And just like you, I want us to sort of do two things. I want us to help build the industry and find out what best looks like, because I don't think we've done that through this year. I think there's been lots of sticking plasters put on, people rushing to put things on Zoom, people rushing to put online learning in, and I think there will be a time for businesses to reflect. And that's almost selfish from us, because that's what we do as a business, but we help people reshape what those things do. And I think there will be an opportunity to work with more clients who are really looking at how learning can add value to their people and business, not just be learning. So I think there's an opportunity for us to really help people, both as an industry and then bringing those on as clients. So those are my sort of two business likes. And personally, I just want to get out and see more people, to be honest.
Yes.
I'd like to get back to the point where we can catch up every couple of weeks, where we can be going out and meeting clients. Interestingly, in this year we've brought on board clients we've never met. So yes, we've spoken to on Zoom and on the phone and various other things, but I know lots of people have done that, and that's slightly strange. That's slightly alien to how we work. So I want it to be about rebuilding that balance of when do we work remotely, when do we use contact time with clients, but also in our personal lives, not taking them for granted. So seeing people and really think about how do I make sure that that's valuable time and don't take it for granted. So I think we can learn some lessons and build forward. But yeah, I'm looking forward to 2021, but probably less gung-ho than 2020 would be my summary.
Yeah, I think everyone's a bit skeptical about what 2021 actually will bring us, because like you said, we've got the vaccine, but is that going to work? When are we going to go back to some sort of normality? But I think being spontaneous as well, I think for both of us, that's something that we haven't been able to do in 2020. I know that's really affected me, like from a personal point of view, going to the pub, I've never had to book so many tables to go out for a drink. So I'd like to not be able to do that anymore, and just actually walk into a place and sit down and actually enjoy time with my friends, rather than it being so structured and kind of a bit more formal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that return to normality. So will we all be working at home as much this time next year? I hope not. Mm-hmm. I hope there is a balance. I think there was a real view and almost novelty factor at the start of lockdown that everyone was like, oh yeah, we can all work from home, and I can grow vegetables, and I can home cook and do all this stuff. And I think that that was for certain people the reality, but for lots of people that was some unobtainable situation they weren't going to get to. And I think most of us want to get back to a balance of being out and seeing people, having time on our own or with our families, and maybe that will be the reset. And I'm hoping we take the positive aspects of how we treat each other as well, because I think reflecting back how the positive things people have done to support each other through this year, and also some of those negative behaviours as well. And I'd want to help drive forward with businesses within people's personal lives. How are you focusing on the positives and the way we can all help each other?
We hope you enjoyed the Learning Reinvented End of 2020 review. You can register to join the Learning Effect community. The link to do so is in the show notes below. If you've not already done so, please follow our podcast and share it with your peer group. If the Learning Effect can help you and your organisation, please do get in touch. You can find both James and I on our LinkedIn, and our contact details are also in the show notes below. Lastly, from the team at the Learning Effect, we hope you have a fabulous festive period, and we'll catch up with you in the new year.